Hey guys, welcome to You the Boss podcast, episode 71. I'm your host, Pam. And the name of this episode is going to be Closing the Chapter. And it's going to be a reflection of the year and setting goals that actually stick. Before I fully get started on this episode, I wanted to say Happy New Year, boss. It has been a definite ride. 2025, I think we can all collectively say, everyone that I know that listens to this podcast in some capacity or another, you have experienced an altering year, whether that was in a really positive way or in a not so positive way, or you experienced a lot of loss and a lot of change. However that may have been, it was definitely an altering year. And my last episode, was a birthday episode, but I was able to share with you guys the loss of my mom. And I've been cycling through that. And especially in the last couple of weeks with the holidays and just reflecting and going through, the grief and what is the now. And I hope that this year you're able to take with you that you got through it. If nothing else, you got through it this year. So let's dive right in. I know this time of year can feel emotional. It can feel heavy, or it can be hopeful. I've covered this before on this podcast. Progress over perfection. When we talk about goals, when we talk about setting goals, there always feels to be this kind of pressure. And I think goals are more of a direction than they are pressure. When you set a goal, it's kind of like putting an address into a GPS, and sometimes you miss a turn and it has to recalculate and that kind of thing. So look at your goals in that way. Look at them as direction, not like you have to get them done, not that you have to absolutely achieve it exactly how you lay it out, because sometimes it just doesn't work that way. Before we rush into the new version of ourselves, we rush into setting these goals, and we think about the year ahead. Every year starts out like you're going to make this year. This is going to be the year that alters your life completely. This is going to be the best of the best of the best. Before we rush into that, let's take a moment and honor the version of us that got here. For myself, you're listening to this episode on New Year's Eve. For myself, on New Year's Eve last year, I wrote a letter to myself. And to be honest with you, I don't remember what I wrote in this letter. I do remember feeling scared. I remember being amazed that I had made it up until that point, because I became a mom last year in 2024, and I also became a homeowner, and I was just on the brink of walking away from my corporate job after maternity leave. And so I'm excited to read this letter. I'm excited to open this letter, and I'm excited to see what old me said, because I'm no longer that person. So I say that to you with the message that reflect on the person who brought you here. Reflect on them. Reflect on how you got here. The things that you've had to carry this year, maybe out of last year or for however long, and think about how that person has carried you to this point. And before we can kind of go through and set these goals, let's do a little bit more reflecting. Let's maybe look back on what got you here. What worked well this year? If you read a ton more books than you did last year, what did you do different? What you did different? What did it teach you? I think it's important to kind of go through that different reflection, because again, we're so quick to set goals. We're so quick to try to like move forward. And I think that's beautiful. I think moving forward is how we stay alive. On the same context, it's important to always reflect. It's important to, before we keep moving, take a look back. What did you do this year that you were proud of that no one else saw? Maybe it was you moved your body a little bit more times than you did the previous year. Maybe you didn't lose a ton of weight or gain weight if that's your goal. Maybe you didn't necessarily change your clothing size or anything like that, but you moved your body a little bit more, and that for you is important. What did you do that made you more proud of yourself? And what do you want to leave in this year? Is it procrastination? Is it self-doubt? Is it denying yourself different things because you think someone else thinks you don't deserve them? When you think about these things, when you're reflecting in these things, it helps you clear emotional clutter. It helps you, first of all, it gives you the moment to give yourself your flowers, to say, oh my gosh, I'm proud of what I did this year. This really worked for me. This didn't work so much, so I don't think I'm going to leave that in this year. But it helps you really essentially clear the slate so that you can continue to move forward and get ready to set those goals. I'm going to be giving you guys 5 to 6 simple ways to set goals and for you to actually achieve them. I do want to be honest with you. I don't remember what book I got this from. I know I always give you guys a book. I don't remember what book I got this from. I have altered it in some capacity to fit my goal setting. So this is coming from like a mixture of a book that I don't remember and also from myself. So number 1, start with the why. Don't start with the goal. Goals stick when we're emotionally connected. When someone can tell you why they set a goal, it's because it sticks out for them. It's because they're intentional in what it is that they want to achieve with this goal. Their intention is fully there. Ask yourself, why does it matter to me right now? Why does it matter to me to lose 30 pounds? Why does it matter to me to get in the best shape so that during snowboarding season, I can continue and see if this is something that I'm going to continue doing? When you set that goal, ask yourself why first, because it's going to help you really develop a relationship with that goal. Number 2, don't make your list longer than 3 to 5 meaningful goals. I don't know if you've heard this before, but I think the saying is like, if you give a rabbit 2 areas where a carrot could be, they never reach it. And it's because there's too many goals. So when you're setting your goals, make sure you set 3 to 5 meaningful ones. It's better than setting a long list. It helps you really move in the direction of saying, hey, let me just set these couple of goals, this handful of goals, because it'll really catapult you forward. It's going to help you focus on what's going to move your life forward the most, instead of listing 25 things that you want to achieve as goals. And then you get to December 27th next year and you're like, I started a bunch of things, but I didn't do much of anything. Number 3, make your goals small and actionable. Break them into tiny steps, maybe doable steps. Progress builds momentum. If your goal is to get healthier, break it down into walk 15 minutes 3 times a week. Maybe you're not already walking, those 15 minutes. So set a smaller goal for yourself. I've said this before on this podcast, how do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time. One of my mentors taught me that. And when you break your goals into tiny doable steps, it doesn't seem as big. It doesn't seem as much for you to attain. So definitely break them into small, actionable goals. If it is getting healthier, what can you do to that point? Even breaking it down to like this week for this goal that I want to achieve by August 31st, 2026, this week, what I'm going to do towards that goal is going to be this. Number 4, set systems, not outcomes. This is really important because when you set an outcome, you're not giving yourself the tools, right? Like, okay, great. I want to be more toned. I hear that choice all the time from some of my friends. Like, I want to be more toned. And that's a great outcome, but you need to have the system for it. What does that mean? What do you need to do that? When you set yourself for a system and you set up the habits and the routines for things, it puts you in the very direction of those outcomes. But if you just say, hey, I want to get to this address, and you don't set up the system to help you get there, you're not going to get there. Number 5, plan for obstacles. Don't go on sheer motivation because you're not going to be motivated every day. That's the reality of it. I hope that you listen to this podcast every chance you get, and I hope that you read into some of the books I've suggested, or you put yourself in a positive mindset at all times, but you're not always going to be motivated. Sometimes you're not going to have the motivation to work out. You're not going to have the motivation to read a book at night, or get up early to read a book, or get up early to meditate, or get up early to do yoga, or just get up early in general to do XYZ before you go about your day. You're not always going to be motivated. So plan for obstacles. Plan for, you know that this weekend you have XYZ going on. So how are you going to alter your plans to make sure that you get your workouts in? That in the next 3 to 4 months, you're going to be doing a lot of traveling for work. So you have to make sure you're staying at a hotel with a gym. Make sure that you're making time for these workouts and you're hydrating yourself during travel, and etc. Plan for those obstacles. Ask yourself what might get in the way, because it's going to help you into that success mode. Number 6, do constant check-ins and don't beat yourself up. Like I said, progress over perfection. Goals need adjustment, not guilt. Gone are the days where you're sitting there, oh, I've been bad. I ate too much dessert. Oh, I've been bad. I haven't been doing my thing. I need to get it together. Like, guilting yourself doesn't really work. So set yourself with check-ins, whether that's monthly, weekly, even daily. When you go to lay down for the day, what did I accomplish today? What did I do today? I didn't get XYZ done, but you know what? I did do this, and tomorrow I'm going to do XYZ. Set yourself up with quarterly, monthly check-ins, because that helps keep your goals realistic and it helps to keep them alive. When you're transitioning from this year to the next, I want you to think about, what are you releasing? When I say releasing, I say, what are you letting go of? What did you deal with this year that you're just deciding, I'm not dealing with that in the next year? What lessons do you want to take with you that you want to carry forward? What kind of energy do you want next year to have? You have the choice to take this coming year and the years to come, by the way, because in 365 days, there's going to be another new year. What kind of energy do you want to take into that new year? Treat it as a continuation of your story. Maybe it's a new book instead of it being a completely different story. It's not a restart. It's a continuation. I want you to take this moment and write down one lesson, one goal, and one word for the next year. I do this every year. This year I chose only one word. I sometimes fluctuate between like a phrase and a word. And last year I chose a word and I chose thrive. And I was looking through, my social media and different captions and different things I've written down and etc. in the last year. And I decided that I was going to take this year to thrive. I was going to take this year to put myself in the position of like, okay, I want to do the best that I can. I want to answer back to the woman that I see in the mirror. And I say that to you not because I want to give myself the accolades, but to give you the example of what you can write down or what you can brainstorm on. I want to remind you that you don't need to have everything figured out. You don't need to know exactly what you're going to do. If you need a new job and you're currently in the trenches of looking for one, you don't need to know where that's going to come from. You don't need to have it all figured out, because ultimately the person that you are to become needs to let go of this person that you are right now. And that means acquiring new knowledge and meeting new people and reading new books and watching new videos and different mindsets and all of those things. So understand that it's okay to not have it figured out. When you choose your word or your goal or your lesson, after you listen to this episode, I want you to reach out to me. I want you to message me on social media at You the Boss Pod on Instagram, or you can write on my YouTube channel if you're watching this on YouTube, or you can even, if you follow my personal account, Boss Lady Pujols, definitely reach out to me. Tell me the word that you chose. Tell me the goal that you chose, because I want to know that you, first of all, made it this far in the episode, but also I want to interact with you. I want to be able to hold you accountable. And I really encourage you to journal after this episode and sit down and take a couple of minutes and just dive in for that. I want to also let you know that I've put in the resources a journal prompt. I'm going to be co-hosting a vision board event January 4th, which is this coming Sunday after this episode airs. And we're going to be doing Boss Up and Manifest. And I'm going to be doing that. My co-host is my sister Jen, and we're going to be diving in and just doing some really awesome stuff. So I really hope that if you haven't already started a vision board and you're in the local New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey area, that you come through to start your vision board and to get some sound meditation and just completely have a blast. And as always, if you haven't already, please leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcasts, whether that's YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. If you listen to your podcast on all of those, leave us a review. We really, really appreciate it. Come back again next week for another episode of You the Boss podcast.